The Millionaire's secret romance ends with a shocking twist nobody saw coming months later. Isabella's phone buzzed non-stop that night, texts flooding in, whispers spinning faster than she could follow. The headlines had just exploded. Nathan Moore, New York's golden boy billionaire, caught in a scandal nobody even dreamed of. Not just any scandal, a secret romance with a woman so mysterious, no one in the city knew her name. Cameras flashed under the glittering skyline, capturing stolen moments in shadowed corners of Fifth Avenue penthouses and whispered meetings in hushed hotel suites. The city buzzed like electric wire. Who was she? What did she want? Everyone was hungry for answers. Isabella felt it deep in her chest, a sharp twist of curiosity mixed with a painful sting of betrayal. She'd chased stories tougher than icy winds off the Hudson, but nothing like this. Nathan, perfect, untouchable, flawless on every magazine cover, now flawed, cracked, and hiding something filthy. She tracked Nathan's steps, seeing the cabs he jumped into, catching brief glimpses of a woman with midnight black hair who slipped into a private exit. The scent of expensive perfume lingered on the cold air, ghosting just out of reach. Her fingers trembled as she snapped photo after photo, each frame teasing a deeper secret. At the same time, whispers reached her from back alley informants. Something off about Nathan's family history. A name twisted in shadow, a key detail linking him to someone Isabella never wanted to face, her own estranged father. The blood drained from her face. Her hands shook. Was this coincidence or a trap? In the glamorous parties filled with champagne sparkle and lies, whispers turned to gasps when Isabella showed them evidence no one else dared to reveal. The connection wasn't just financial, it was personal. Pain carved itself sharper each time she dug deeper, each text she sent unanswered by the family who disappeared years ago. A close friend, someone she trusted more than anyone, leaked her plans to Nathan. The shock hit harder than any headline. Who could turn so cold? Her chest tightened. Her heart fought to hold the pieces together. Now, standing under the harsh city lights, Isabella knew the truth would burn everything to the ground. She could spill Nathan's secrets and watch the glittering empire crash, or protect what little remained of her fragile family ties and risk losing herself in silence. The noise around her faded as Nathan appeared, smiling that same impossible smile, but with eyes that cut like glass. The confrontation was sharp, the air thick, and just when she thought she had the story, the absolute truth slipped through her fingers. A twist so raw, so brutal, it shattered the line between enemy and ally, love and lies. Isabella stood frozen on that edge. Heart, who was she? And how far do you go to protect the ones you love? Or to expose the darkest secrets that could destroy them? Hey, before you continue with this incredible story, I have an important warning for you. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content. And while you're there, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. Isabella stood there, the city lights a blur as anxiety coursed through her veins. Nathan was right in front of her, a perfect mask of charm and warmth. Yet, she couldn't. Secrets loomed like storm clouds above them, and she needed to know which way the winds were blowing. "Isabella," Nathan said, stepping closer. "You don't need to be afraid. Let's talk." She drew a shaky breath, her mind racing. Did he know about her connection to his family? Was he just as lost as she was? But before she could respond, a loud crash echoed through the alley. Glass shattered from a nearby storefront. Both of them jerked towards the noise, hearts pounding. People shouted, some screaming, and a stampede of footsteps rushed past them. The chaos flooded her with adrenaline, but also fear. Nathan's face paled. "Stay here," he ordered, before bolting toward the crowd. Panic tightened around her. What was happening? She followed at a distance, weaving through the throngs, her heart hammering against her ribs. She pushed forward, catching snippets of panic. "He's got a gun! Run!" Then she saw him, a man, wild-eyed and frantic, holding a gun high. It wavered in his grip, but it was real. The world slowed down, each second stretching painfully. A gasp escaped her lips. Nathan ducked behind a car, but he was moving closer to the gunman. "Stop!" She screamed, but her words drowned in the chaos. Everyone was shouting. People scrambled for safety, but Isabella's feet were glued to the ground. She felt frozen, helpless, as despair churned inside her. Suddenly, the gunman pointed the gun right at Nathan. Time felt like it hung in the air, thick and suffocating. But just as she thought the worst might happen, everything changed. A woman pushed through the crowd, black hair whipping behind her. Isabella blinked. The woman had the same eyes as Nathan. It hit her like a freight train. This was Nathan's mystery woman. Isabella's heart raced as the woman shouted something that made the gunman hesitate. "Jack!" "It's me. Just put the gun down." The frantic name reverberated through Isabella's mind. Jack? Was that Nathan's brother? How deep did this family secret go? A collective gasp surged through the crowd. Tension crackled like electricity. The woman took a step forward, arms wide open. "Please, just listen. You don't have to do this." For a split second, Nathan's eyes bore into Isabella's, begging for understanding, pleading for her to see what was at stake. But there was something more. A flicker of recognition crossed his face, as if he knew the woman, and with it, fragmented pieces began to click. This was not just a secret romance. It was much bigger. Jack hesitated again, confusion etched on his brow. "Why should I trust you?" Then it happened. The woman spoke, her voice steady, cutting through the chaos. "Because I'm your sister." The words sliced through the air like a knife. Isabella stumbled backward, her mind reeling. Sister? Nathan had a sister? Lies. Secrets. Everything Isabella thought she understood morphed into a blur of uncertainty. She stared at Nathan, the realization crashing over her like a wave. Who was he really? And what did this mean for her carefully planned expose? A gunshot rang out, shattering the moment. Was it aimed at Nathan? Isabella's heart pounded in her chest. Time frozen again. The crowd erupted in panic. Her breath hitched as she searched Nathan's face, trying to find answers. Could her world flip upside down again? Was she about to uncover the truth, or lose everything she held dear? A gunshot rang out, echoing in the narrow alley, and the crowd screamed. Isabella's heart dropped as she watched Nathan jerk back, his face going pale. Time seemed to freeze, the world around them blurring into chaos. She felt bile rise in her throat. Fear strangled her thoughts. What had just happened? Nathan's eyes widened in shock, but then a flicker of determination to protect his sister ignited in them. "Get down!" he yelled, pulling his mystery woman to the ground. Isabella instinctively moved too, ducking behind a dumpster for cover. Her heart raced. The crowd scattered, frantically searching for safety. But Isabella's eyes were glued to Nathan. He was rushing toward his sister, his voice cutting through the pandemonium. "Lucy, are you okay? Lucy?" The name twisted inside Isabella's mind. This woman was Nathan's sister? How could that be? And why wasn't Nathan ever honest about this? But there was no time to unravel the tangle of secrets. Jack, the gunman, seemed trapped in a whirlwind of anger and confusion. "You turned your back on me. I'm not going to let you ruin everything." His voice was shaking as he waved the gun, glancing between Nathan and Lucy. Isabella could see the hurt on Nathan's face, so raw, so real. His brother wasn't just a stranger. He was someone in pain. Nathan reached forward, his voice steady. "Jack, please, put the gun down. We can talk about this. It doesn't have to end like this." Just then, the sound of sirens pierced the air like a knife. More chaos erupted. The crowd's panic surged, pushing bodies against each other in a desperate bid for safety. Isabella could feel the tension, the fear hanging heavy in the air. But her focus remained on the unfolding drama. "Talk?" Jack laughed, a wild sound that didn't belong in that moment. "You think talking will fix everything? You abandoned me. You've always had everything handed to you." He turned the gun towards Nathan, and for a split second, Isabella felt paralyzed. Would Nathan really get shot because of family secrets? And then it happened. In a blur of movement, Lucy lunged forward, stepping right between the gun and Nathan. "Stop. Jack, put it down. I can help you, just like before." Isabella's chest constricted. Help? What had happened before? What kind of family drama had been hidden? A moment of silence swallowed the chaos as Jack faltered, looking lost. "You think I can trust either of you? You both abandoned me. But in that split second of hesitation, things shifted. A new figure appeared from the crowd. Dark hair, familiar features, eyes burning with purpose. Isabella's breath caught in her throat as she recognized him, her estranged father. "What are you doing here?" she gasped, realizing how far this tangled web had spun. The look in his eyes was one of fury, of a man who had been irrevocably wronged. "Get away from my son!" he yelled, pointing directly at Nathan. Her heart sank, the realization crashing over her that Jack wasn't just Nathan's brother, but her half-brother too. Everything spun as the pieces fell into place. This wasn't just about romance or scandals. There were deeper ties connecting their lives in a way Isabella never expected. The air crackled with intensity, truth and lies merging into chaos. Nathan's face twisted in horror. Lucy's hands trembled in front of her, and Jack's grip on the gun wavered. Confusion battling against rage. And through it all, the gunshot from before echoed ominously, raising the stakes even higher. Who was in danger? Who would come out alive? Isabella's world tilted further, turning upside down, leaving her breathless, caught in a web of love, betrayal, and shocking truths. As the sirens grew louder, a question hung in the air. Was this the unraveling of everything she thought she knew, or the beginning of something even darker? Isabella stood there, the air thick with confusion and dread. Nathan's eyes darted between Jack and Lucy, fear and desperation mixing in the depths. The sirens were closing in, but right now, the crowd, once full of fear, took a collective breath. A second gunshot rang out, but this one wasn't aimed at Nathan or Jack. It hit the ground, splintering in a spray of asphalt, inches from Isabella's feet. She stumbled back, heart racing, gut twisting with instinctual terror. Was someone trying to make a point? Was this chaos controlled or completely random? Just then, a new figure emerged from the shadows. Another stranger, tall and imposing, moving with a purpose. The crowd gasped at the sight. It wasn't just any person. It was a man dressed in an expensive, sharply cut suit, his expression resolute. A flash of recognition washed over Isabella. This wasn't just a random bystander. This was Nathan's business partner, Thomas Blake, who had been by Nathan's side through everything. "Get away from him!" Thomas shouted, pointing an accusatory finger at Jack. "Why are you here?" Nathan shouted back, panic etching lines across his face. "What do you want?" Thomas paused, his face twisting into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You really don't know, do you, Nathan? This has all been a game, and your little mess here." He gestured toward Lucy and Jack, just a part of it. Isabella felt her stomach drop. A game? What did he mean? The tension in the air shifted, morphing into something darker. Jack, still clutching the gun but unsure, looked between Nathan and Thomas, confusion reigniting the fire of anger behind his eyes. "Tell me you didn't know the truth, Nathan," Thomas continued, a twisted delight tracing his tone. "Tell me you didn't realize who your real enemy is." Isabella glanced at Nathan, searching for an answer in his wide, shocked eyes. "What truth?" she whispered, feeling the world tilt. And then, in a flash, everything spiraled out. Thomas's voice turned cold and sharp, slicing through the chaos. "Your father, Isabella, he knew about this all along. He orchestrated it." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Isabella's entire world shifted, her heart pounding under the weight of his words. Her father? Orchestrated what? "He set this whole thing up, using you as bait, you know," Thomas continued, his laughter echoing cruelly against the alley walls. "Nathan's family secrets? A distraction. A way to keep you from looking too close at what he really wanted." Isabella felt breathless. The truth slammed into her like a freight train. All the digging, the betrayals. Had her father manipulated her into exposing Nathan? Could it be true? The betrayal sliced deeper than any gunshot. As Nathan stepped forward, taking command, his expression shifted from shock to resolve. "Enough! What do you want?" he shouted, determination seeping through his fear. But Thomas only smiled wider, a wicked gleam in his eye. "Everything, Nathan. I want everything." And just like that, with a flick of his wrist, Thomas revealed something from his pocket, a small device, glinting ominously. "Your empire, your life, all of it could crumble with one push." Isabella's heart raced. What was he planning? Just how deep was this rabbit hole? As Nathan moved to intercept, the gunfire erupted again, followed by a startling explosion echoing in the background, shaking the ground beneath them all. The world twisted, and in that moment of chaos, secrets spilled out, relationships unraveled, and darkness descended. Was this truly the end, or just the beginning of something even more disastrous? Isabella closed her eyes against the noise, trying to grasp the unraveling reality. The silence that followed was deafening, and as the dust settled, one question burned in her mind. What had she truly stepped into? Isabella stood there, the air thick with confusion and dread. Nathan's eyes darted between Jack and Lucy, fear and desperation mixing in the depths. The sirens were closing in, but right now, time felt suspended. And just when she thought things couldn't get crazier, it happened. A loud bang echoed through the alley, and everything shattered. The crowd, once full of fear, took a collective breath. A second gunshot rang out, but this one wasn't aimed at Nathan or Jack. It hit the ground, splintering in a spray of asphalt, inches from Isabella's feet. She stumbled back, heart racing, gut twisting with instinctual terror. Was someone trying to make a point? Was this chaos controlled or completely random? Just then, a new figure emerged from the shadows. Another stranger, tall and imposing, moving with a purpose. The crowd gasped at the sight. It wasn't just any person. It was a man dressed in an expensive, sharply cut suit, his expression resolute. A flash of recognition washed over Isabella. This wasn't just a random bystander. This was Nathan's business partner, Thomas Blake, who had been by Nathan's side through everything. "Get away from him," Thomas shouted, pointing an accusatory finger at Jack. "Why are you here?" Nathan shouted back, panic etching lines across his face. "What do you want?" Thomas paused, his face twisting into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You really don't know, do you, Nathan? This has all been a game, and your little mess here," he gestured toward Lucy and Jack, "just a part of it." Isabella felt her stomach drop. A game? What did he mean? The tension in the air shifted, morphing into something darker. Jack, still clutching the gun, but unsure, looked between Nathan and Thomas, confusion reigniting the fire of anger behind his eyes. "Tell me you didn't know the truth, Nathan," Thomas continued, a twisted delight tracing his tone. "Tell me you didn't realize who your real enemy is." Isabella glanced at Nathan, searching for an answer in his wide, shocked eyes. "What truth?" she whispered, feeling the world tilt. And then, in a flash, everything spiraled out. Thomas's voice turned cold and sharp, slicing through the chaos. "Your father, Isabella. He knew about this all along. He orchestrated it." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Isabella's entire world shifted, her heart pounding under the weight of his words. Her father? Orchestrated what? "He set this whole thing up, using you as bait, you know," Thomas continued, his laughter echoing cruelly against the alley walls. "Nathan's family secrets? A distraction. A way to keep you from looking too close at what he really wanted." Isabella felt breathless. The truth slammed into her like a freight train. All the digging, the betrayals, had her father manipulated her into exposing Nathan? Could it be true? The betrayal sliced deeper than any gunshot. As Nathan stepped forward, taking command, his expression shifted from shock to resolve. "Enough. What do you want?" he shouted, determination seeping through his fear. But Thomas only smiled wider, a wicked gleam in his eye. "Everything, Nathan. I want everything." And just like that, with a flick of his wrist, Thomas revealed something from his pocket. A small device, glinting ominously. Your empire, your life, all of it could crumble with one push. Isabella's heart raced. What was he planning? Just how deep was this rabbit hole? As Nathan moved to intercept, the gunfire erupted again, followed by a startling explosion echoing in the background, shaking the ground beneath them all. The world twisted, and in that moment of chaos, secrets spilled out, relationships unraveled, and darkness descended. The air was thick with smoke, the stench of gunpowder mixed with fear. Adrenaline coursed through Isabella's veins, her vision blurring from shock. Then, against the weight of it all, came an unexpected sound, a small, soft whimper. Isabella turned toward the noise, just in time to see a little girl, no more than 8, peeking out from behind a dumpster, eyes wide, trembling. "Mommy?" she cried, her voice small but piercing. The crowd fell silent, staring at the girl as if she were a beacon in the madness. Isabella's heart ached. In that moment, everything changed. Forget the scandal, the secret romance, the game. This was about a child who had wandered into chaos, unaware of the tempest swirling around her. "Get her out of here," Isabella yelled, her voice carrying over the silence. But the truth hit hard. She recognized the girl. A flash of memories surged through her. The playful laughter, the innocent joy she had once known. The twist opened a chasm of questions. Who was this child? What did her presence mean for Isabella? Isabella? Nathan's voice cut through her thoughts, eyes wide with realization. "What are you saying?" But as confusion danced among them, all she could think was, could this innocent heart be the key to unlocking everything? What other truths lay buried, waiting to be exposed? Isabella's heart raced, her mind swirling as she focused on the little girl, the innocent face caught in chaos. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, the words barely escaping her lips. The sounds of panic around them faded, all her attention on this child who seemed like a shimmering light in the dark. Nathan was still shouting, pleading with Jack, but all Isabella could see was that girl. The crowd was a blur, their fearful gasps echoing in her ears. How had this child become a part of this nightmare? "Mommy?" the girl whimpered again, tears streaming down her cheeks. Isabella felt her own heart tug painfully in response. She knew that voice. Before she could process it, the ground trembled again, a distant rumble like thunder, tightening the air around them. A new kind of fear spread through Isabella. What was happening? "Isabella, focus!" Nathan's voice broke through, harsh and desperate. He wasn't just asking. He was commanding. "We need to get her to safety." Panic surged, driving her instincts as she scanned the area. The noise around them rolled like waves, and the realization hit. Was that the same little girl she had seen at Nathan's family gatherings? The child whose laughter had echoed through the halls? The similarity was uncanny. But just as she opened her mouth to scream for help, the ground erupted beneath them. It didn't crack. It simply exploded. Smoke and debris filled the air in a blind and deafening rush. Screams pierced the chaos, people scattering like leaves in a storm. Isabella fell backward, hit the ground hard, and covered her head. "Get down!" Nathan yelled, throwing himself over Lucy, shielding her with his body. The air was thick with dust, a cloud of confusion and fear. Isabella struggled to stand, her breath choking her. What was happening? Where was her dad? Where was Thomas? And then she saw it, a figure rising from the smoke, silhouetted against the swirling darkness. It moved forward, almost dreamlike, but the steady way it approached sent ice through her veins. Isabella. It was her father's voice, cutting through the chaos like a knife. The fear embedded in her heart surged again, a mix of anger and disbelief washing over her. "You need to listen to me. Why are you here?" she shouted, trembling as her eyes met his. "What did you do?" "He's manipulating you," he snapped, pointing at Nathan with a fierce intensity. "He's playing with your life like a game, just like Thomas said. Isabella felt her stomach drop. Everything she thought she understood twisted like a knife in her chest. Could she trust him? Or was this a diversion, a ploy to shove her back into the darkness? No, she protested, shaking her head, desperate to fend off the shadows creeping in. But her father stepped closer, urgency spilling through him. Listen to me, Isabella. There's more to this. Your mother. His voice cracked, raw emotion leaking through. What about my mother? She pressed, the words a lifeline. But before he could answer, the figure beside him broke into laughter. Thomas. He stepped fully into view, his sharp grin cutting through the smoke. Did you really think you could escape the truth? He taunted, eyes glinting with dark joy. And then he dropped a bomb. Isabella, your mother isn't dead. She's been watching you this whole time. Shock. The word barely scraped into her consciousness, the idea lodging itself like a sinister parasite. She's alive? The whisper fell from her lips, a threadbare hope flaring just before it was snuffed out. The implications became a whirlwind, spiraling beyond anything she could grasp. Nathan's eyes met hers. What do you mean? He demanded, anguish twisting his features. A new fire ignited between them, the connection fraying but just as potent. The girl, Lucy, whimpered again, and Isabella felt the thread of urgency wrap tighter around her heart. Her world was collapsing, truths pouring out like a dam breaking. As Nathan reached for her, trying to bridge this rift that had opened between them, a roar shook the street. Chills cascaded down Isabella's spine as the ground trembled a second time. Something massive moving through the chaos, heading right toward them. And then she heard it, a low growl reverberating deep and loud, drawing backward from the crowd's fearful gasps. It wasn't just a metaphor. It was an actual beast breaking through the smoke and confusion. Confusion multiplied like wildfire. What was hidden in all this chaos? The foundations of everything she thought she knew seemed to shift, preparing to collapse around her. Isabella! Nathan yelled. But she was frozen, staring into the encroaching darkness, heart racing. Who was she now? What was the truth about her family? What monster was lurking just beyond the veil? As the smoke cleared slightly, she understood. Everything was about to change. Isabella's heart raced in her chest as the silhouette emerged from the smoke. The figure was tall, imposing, and moved with a purpose that sent a chill down her spine. Her father's voice echoed in her ears, but her eyes were locked on Thomas, whose grin seemed to widen with malicious intent. And then the world tilted. Everything was orchestrated, Isabella. His sinister words hung in the air like smoke, twisting in her mind. You were just a pawn in a game far bigger than you ever realized. The ground shook under her feet again, an earthquake of chaos. As she tried to process this revelation, the little girl's whimper cut through the air, a reminder of innocence caught in the storm. Suddenly, Thomas lunged forward, eyes wild, and in one swift motion, he turned Noah, the gunman, against his own brother, Jack. "End it!" Thomas shouted, as he pushed Jack forward, the gun suddenly aiming at Nathan. This is the moment it all ends. No, Isabella screamed, the terror igniting a fire within her. She saw everything through a haze. Faces were blurred. Shouts became unrecognizable. But all she could think of was protecting the little girl, the weight of this moment crashing down on all of them. Time slowed. Nathan twisted to face Jack, and Jack hesitated, confusion overtaking his rage. "Why would you do this to me?" he cried, voice shaking. "You abandoned me!" Then everything erupted. A blinding flash of light filled the alley, so bright that Isabella squinted, shielding her eyes. The air filled with the smell of burning chemicals and smoke. She felt the heat singe her skin, the sound of shattering glass and metal on metal ringing like a cacophony of chaos in her ears. And then there was silence, a shattering silence that forced everyone to halt. Breaths caught, minds racing. Isabella's heart raced, pounding against her ribcage as if trying to break free. When she finally opened her eyes, the scene was horrifyingly calm. The chaotic crowd had frozen like a still image, faces caught in expressions of shock and terror. The smoke began to clear, and she looked down the alley, searching desperately for Nathan, Jack, and Lucy. What she saw next sent a jolt of disbelief slicing through her. Lucy, the woman who'd seemed so calm and composed, was kneeling on the ground, blood pooling around her, her dark hair sweeping across her face. Isabella's breath froze in her throat. No, it couldn't be. "Lucy!" Nathan's voice burst through the silence, raw and broken. He ran to her, kneeling beside the crumpled body, eyes wide with horror. But then it hit Isabella. Something was off. In the middle of the chaos, Lucy lifted her hand, fingers stained crimson, but pulling back her hair to reveal a calmness that defied her condition. "It's okay. It's all going according to plan." Her voice was eerily steady, even as blood dripped down her neck. Confusion wrapped itself around Isabella like a vice. What was happening? Plan? What plan? Nathan cried, desperation lacing his words as he grasped her shoulders. With slow, deliberate movements, Lucy pushed him away. "You're the one who never saw it coming, Nathan," she whispered, smile flashing like a knife. "Just like our father wanted." Isabella felt as though the ground had dropped out from under her. The revelation hit her like a freight train. Lucy wasn't just Nathan's sister. She was a part of this twisted family conspiracy, a piece of the puzzle designed to ensnare them all. "Damn it!" Isabella spat, fists clenched. The way Lucy spoke, so calculating. The way everything around her shifted. "What are you saying?" Then it happened. In a swift motion, Lucy pulled something from her pocket. A detonator. Fear rippled through the crowd. "Welcome to the real game," she sneered, eyes glistening with determination. "You're not just players, you're the sacrifice." Nathan's expression turned to horror as realization dawned. "No, you can't do this!" The entire world stood on a razor's edge. As Lucy pressed the button, darkness enveloped them. In that split second, Isabella's heart screamed, but it was drowned out by a deafening explosion that echoed through Manhattan. A righteous wake-up call that shattered everything, leaving them suspended in a moment of shock. As debris rained down, a question tore itself from Isabella's lips, one that hung heavy in the air. Did they all just cross a line that could never be undone? Isabella's vision blurred momentarily as the explosion reverberated through her body. Time seemed to slow, the chaos around her dissipating into silence, like a snapshot freezing in time. She felt her heart hammer against her ribs, the weight of reality crashing down in waves. Was this truly the end? "Lucy," Nathan's urgent voice cut through the haze, raw with pain. Isabella's gaze flicked to him. His brother, the gunman, was still in shock, torn between loyalty and confusion. But Lucy's expression shifted. Her eyes glinted with a knowing smile. It made Isabella's stomach churn. Just then, amidst the debris and smoke, something flickered in the distance. A flash of red, small yet bright. As Isabella squinted, the realization gripped her. The little girl, Lucy's daughter, she suddenly understood, was rushing toward them, arms outstretched, innocence shining against all this darkness. "Mommy!" the girl cried, her voice breaking through the remaining tension like a beam of light. Lucy's eyes widened, her smile faltering for an instant. The facade cracked. Then it happened. In a split second, Lucy, who had been the orchestrator all along, turned her head sharply. "No!" she screamed, almost too late. An ominous shadow passed over Isabella as a second figure, cloaked in darkness, rushed into view from the edge of the alley. Heart pounding, she recognized him instantly. Her father. Arms outstretched, he leaped toward Lucy and the girl. "Get away!" he shouted, fear echoing in his voice. But the moment hung heavy, filled with dread. Isabella's breath caught. Time froze again as both her father and Lucy collided. The sound of impact echoed like a gunshot, a sickening thud that sent shockwaves through Isabella. She barely registered the sight of her father, gripping Lucy's arm, twisting it fiercely. "Stop this!" he yelled, desperation spilling from him. "You can't take her! She's just a child!" But Lucy's expression twisted, revealing layers of rage and despair. The facade of the calm sister shattered as she snarled, "You have no right to dictate my life, just like you took everything else from me." Then a gasp escalated through the crowd, rippling like waves. Isabella's chest tightened as the realization hit. Lucy wasn't just a sister. She wasn't just Nathan's relative. She was tied to her father. Was she truly Nathan's sister? The puzzle twisted. "I didn't choose this," he yelled back, his eyes wild. "We can end this. We can still protect her." In the midst of their confrontation, the little girl stood helplessly between them, terrified. Suddenly, everything spiraled into chaos once more. Isabella's world splintered into horror as Lucy shoved her father backward. He stumbled, lost his balance, and fell hard against a pile of debris. But here was the twist. The second explosion shattered the silence. Something alive within the rubble. The sound roared to life. The earth split open beneath them. "Get down!" Nathan shouted, pulling Isabella and the girl to the ground. But there was no telling what lurked below. As they braced for the impact, a figure rocketed up from the debris, covered in ash and smoke. A larger-than-life version of the nightmare she thought she had seen. The figure emerged as a man, grizzled, rough, his eyes blazing with years of pain and betrayal. Nathan's long-lost father. "Enough!" he roared. "I'm here to end this." Isabella's breath, shallow, her lungs heavy. The revelation sent shockwaves through her. Who had she aligned herself with? The web of lies tangled further, twisting everything she thought she knew. And suddenly the stakes weren't just about love or survival. They were about family. As confusion washed over everyone, a light flickered in the chaos, eyes wide open in disbelief. What other secrets lay hidden in this storm? How deep did the betrayal run? And could they survive the fallout of a past they never fully understood? Isabella's heart raced as the imposing figure of Nathan's father loomed closer, breathing life into a nightmare she never expected. The chaos around her felt distant, muted by the collision of emotions roaring inside her. As Nathan reached for Lucy, desperate and torn, the moment stretched, full of fear and impending disaster. "What do you want?" Nathan's voice was a mixture of determination and sorrow. Lucy lay there, blood staining the ground, her sly grin fading as she clutched her daughter. The little girl looked so small, so vulnerable. Then, suddenly, all hell broke loose. The bomb inside Lucy's pocket exploded into chaos, sending shards of metal and bricks flying. Isabella ducked, covering her head as debris rained down like confetti, spinning through the air. The crowd screamed. It felt like the world crashed down all at once. "Lucy!" Nathan yelled, terror shattering through his bravado. The weight of everything they had been through was compressed into a moment, where family ties and betrayal intermixed in a tragic tapestry. But just then, amidst the confusion, Lucy's laughter pierced through the darkness, a sharp contrast to the chaos unfolding. "You think this is over, Nathan?" she called, her voice laced with malice. "This is just the beginning." Everything froze. The smokescreen cleared enough for Isabella to see Lucy and Nathan's father, both shouting desperately. But there was something else. Behind the wreckage of their family ties and the spilling of blood, a revelation loomed. And then it was as if the air changed. Reality rippled as the ground beneath them trembled again. Not from an explosion, but an underlying tremor of power shifting. With the dust barely settling, Isabella's heart caught as she noticed something glowing in the wreckage. A small device, blinking red, nestled among the ruins. It pulsated ominously, casting an eerie light. "No!" her father shouted, realization dawning on his face. "That's the activation device. Get back!" But it was too late. Nathan's eyes widened in horror as he realized the truth. "Lucy, you wouldn't!" Just as he lunged forward, another figure emerged from the trembling shadows. A woman dressed in a striking red coat, her expression unreadable as she pulled the hood down. Isabella blinked, disbelief flooding her mind. It was Amy, Nathan's trusted assistant, the one person who should never have been caught up in this deadly dance. "Amy?" Nathan gasped, confusion paralyzing him. But there was a fierceness in her eyes that held everyone captive. "It's too late, Nathan. You never understood the stakes." The whole world shifted again. As Isabella's heart raced, the pieces fell chillingly into place. Amy wasn't just his assistant. Her loyalty ran deeper. This was part of a web drawn long before any of them came to play the game. And then came the biggest twist. As Amy stepped closer, revealing the truth behind the curtain, her voice echoed with authority. "You never knew about the plan, did you? The moment Lucy and I joined forces, it was all set into motion." Silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. "You're both working together?" Isabella barely whispered, dread pooling in her chest. Everything, everyone, was poised on the brink of catastrophe. "Yes." Lucy laughed, a manic glee illuminating her features, even through the pain. "Our families have been at war for generations, Isabella. You were all just pawns in a much bigger game." Then, the dread inside Isabella merged with a flicker of hope. Could this be the chance to escape? But as Amy raised her arms, directing the wreckage around them, something deeper began to stir, an uprising of emotions interlaced with ancient grudges and betrayals that ran through the very fabric of their lives. The reality blurred as the line between ally and enemy began to fracture. What now? She looked around, searching for answers within the chaos, but found herself paralyzed, caught in the crossfire of allegiance and enmity. A question loomed as the chaos surged again. Would they all be consumed by the very darkness they sought to control? And could any of them ever really know who they were dealing with? The air was thick with tension, the aftermath of chaos swirling around them. Isabella felt the weight of everything crash down. She looked at Nathan, who was desperately trying to reach Lucy, the little girl clinging to his side. "Get back!" Lucy screamed, her eyes wild, the detonator still clutched in her bloodied hand. But the sight of her daughter turned her rage into something softer, something human. The moment stretched, thick and tangible. "Lucy, please," Nathan pleaded, voice cracking under the strain. "Think about your daughter. This isn't the way." But just as Lucy hesitated, something flickered in the distance, a spark of hope. Isabella's father lunged forward, determination etched in his features. "Lucy, don't let anger consume you. This isn't just about us, it's about her." And then it clicked. The truth hit like a wave. Isabella stepped forward. "You can stop this now. Together, we can make it right," she pleaded, her voice cutting through the chaos. The pull of family, the crumbling bonds, stared them all in the face, pleading for unity against the tide of destruction. Lucy's expression softened. For a moment, hope flickered in the depths of despair. "What if I can't?" she whispered, tears mixing with the blood on her hands. "Then let us help you," Nathan urged, stepping closer, pushing against the tide of fear. "Our families have been at odds for too long. We can change this." Her grip on the detonator weakened, and for a heartbeat, the crowd held its breath. Isabella could feel the collective anxiety, faces twisted with fear and anticipation. Would Lucy destroy everything still, or could they reach her? But before she could act, the ground shook beneath them again, rattling their bones. The device glowed ominously, a reminder of the violent chaos on the brink of exploding. Then it happened. A blinding light cut through the gloom. The air crackled with electricity. Isabella shielded her eyes, feeling Nathan's arm pull her back. A surge of hot air washed over them, and then silence. When she dared to look, Lucy stood frozen, the detonator falling from her fingers, clattering on the pavement. "I don't want this," she cried, collapsing to the ground. The little girl rushed into her arms. "Mommy!" she cried, tears streaming. In that moment, the weight of generations shifted, paving the way for something unexpected: forgiveness. Nathan stepped forward, offering his hand, strong and steady. "You can always choose love, Lucy. Let's choose it together." With their hands joined, the energy shifted. Shadows lifted as they surrounded Lucy and her daughter, a circle of strength against the darkness. Isabella watched as the light returned, illuminating their path. It was all coming together. A reunion of families tangled in secrets and scandal. Nathan's father emerged from the wreckage, his face softening. "I never meant for things to go this far." They stood together, lost and broken, but reconnecting. Isabella felt a rush of warmth, an incredible relief that they could move beyond the chaos. But outside the bubble of hope, the world remained uncertain. The chaos of the night faded to whispers as everyone looked at them, eyes filled with questions. But beneath the newfound bond, an unsteady tension remained. Would they really be able to navigate this storm? Isabella took a deep breath, feeling exhilaration mix with trepidation. Life felt fragile, hanging in the balance. Their journey wasn't over. It was just beginning. She caught Nathan's eye, and in that moment, they both understood. There would always be unknowns, lingering just beneath the surface. Emotions surged as they faced one another, hearts pounding with uncharted possibilities. As the dust settled, the weight of the future loomed. Now it was time to decide. You must subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Click the like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this shocking ending. And don't wait another second to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know how it all ends. Your actions matter. Be the true fan that supports this community.